Our next guest is the guy you'd like to sit next to at a dinner party. Why? Well, he's a musician who has worked with the likes of Roseanne Cash, Steely Dan, and Stevie Wonder, but he is also a neuroscientist, and he wrote the best-selling book, This Is Your Brain, on music.
His latest book is about the ways that music and health interact, and it's called I Heard There Was a Secret Chord, Music as Medicine. And so we're thrilled to have author Daniel Levitin here in studio to tell us all about it. Welcome back to The Social.
Thank you.
Listen, I think, we were talking a little bit backstage that any music lover can really attest to the way that music just makes us feel. It makes us feel good. But do you think that we underappreciate the impact that music can actually have on something as profound as our health?
I think we do. We tend to think of music as sonic wallpaper or a social lubricant at a party. And of course, it does those things. But there's now research, particularly in the last 10 years, that extend a 20,000-year tradition of music as medicine, that shows that music can be used to help treat injury and disease and actually boost our immune system so we don't get sick in the first place.
Wow.
I mean, this is fascinating. So let's talk a little bit more about the healing power of music. You are longtime friends with Joni Mitchell, Canadian icon, and after she had her aneurysm in 2015, she actually had to learn to walk and speak again. You actually consulted with her health team about the music that she should play in order to help her rehabilitate. So talk about how music is helpful in these ways. And was there a particular kind of music that she was playing?
Well, so this was an easy one because she had made a Desert Island disc. Starbucks used to have a record label, and they did an Artist's Choice series.
Yeah, I remember this.
And she had me over to her house for several late nights, just spinning through her record collection and listening together and figuring out what she wanted to put on the CD. So it was obvious that that's what she should hear as the first thing she hears. And you ask how it helped her. After the coma and after being disoriented for so long, nothing looked familiar to her, even coming back to her house. And those favorite songs of hers reconnected her with her true essence, with her true self. And listening to your favorite music, my lab at McGill was the first to show it releases dopamine in your brain, which is a chemical that causes you to seek the things you like, a motivating chemical. And that caused her to want to recover and get back to who she was.
Unbelievable. That is just wild. Yeah. We can maybe all think back to when singer extraordinaire Tony Bennett was diagnosed and then struggling with Alzheimer's. And a lot of fans watched him perform, hour and a half, like 90-minute concerts. And so he was able to sing his songs, remember the lyrics, even though off stage he was really struggling to remember a lot of things in his daily life, as you were kind of mentioning with Joni. So, and we see this kind of often with music. So why can our brains hold on to music lyrics? We can all probably remember nursery rhymes and we can remember songs from our childhood. What is happening there that we can remember that, but I don't know where I left my keys this morning?
Well, so to begin with, when we're between the ages of 10 and 20, our brains literally wire themselves up to what's going on in our lives, including to the music we heard then. And that holds a privileged position in memory. So even in the face of memory loss, that stuff stays in there. But more so, music activates every part of the brain that we have mapped so far. Rhythm is processed in one part, melody in another, lyrics in another. And so even with brain damage or brain injury, all those different elements are able to mutually reinforce one another. And music is such a rich stimulus, right? That it's resistant to that level of forgetfulness that we find with other things.
So along with healing sort of our mental processes, you also say that in the book that it can help us with our physicality as well. So I feel like I knew this. I listened to music when I was going into labor, maybe intuitively thought that it might soothe me, but is there actually evidence to show that it can alleviate physical pain?
There is. So another thing my lab at McGill was the first to show is that listening to music you like releases the brain's own opiates, and they serve as an analgesic. They also calm you. Not released in the same levels as, say, a Vicodin would give you, but in enough of the opiates that you might get by with good music and, say, an aspirin.
Okay.
Okay, that's cool. Your last book was all about successful aging, so let's now bring music into the fold in that. And can listening to music actually help us age better?
It can, because exploring new music and listening to music in general, every time you hear a new song or hear an old song in a new version, you're building new neural pathways, and that's neuroprotective. Learning to play an instrument is even more helpful, and you're never too old to learn to play an instrument.
Okay.
Okay, can you okay, let's go one step further. So how can we use it? So we're all listening right now going, what are we playing on our drive home?
Well, you probably want to play something new. There is the attraction of familiar music because it's comforting, but after a certain amount of time, you become immune to its charms. It's not that the familiarity breeds contempt, but that, you know it all. And so the task is to find new music that will sound something like the music you grew up with and give you that hit of excitement, that hit of dopamine
And
again.
maybe memorizing new lyrics, is that part of it too?
Yeah, and just exposing yourself to anything new is neuroprotective. In other words, it helps you to age and keep a young brain. Your body may get older, but your brain stays young.
Love it. Okay, I love that. So that you say in the future, AI, let's talk about that, is going to be used to incorporate our music and wellness and therapy all into one. What does the future look like with music and AI involved?
So there are 100,000 new songs being uploaded to streaming services every day. There are now 200 million songs at last count on the streaming services. That's a lot of music. So how do you find something you like? That's the problem. The streaming service recommendations aren't great, but as I talk about in I Heard There Was a Secret Chord, in the coming year, that fast, AI will be able to look at your pattern of listening on whatever streaming service you use for the last several months, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you skipped, and it will be able to match up your individual tastes with some of that new 100,000 new songs every day and help you find stuff that you're probably going to like on first listening, and it's going to feel familiar, and it's going to feel healthful all at once.
Ooh.
Well, Daniel, thank
Very
you
cool.
so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So cool. Okay, everyone, you can get your copy of I Heard There Was a Secret Chord everywhere now. We'll be right back.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.